So I ended up going to Drexel University, upward bound, just by being in the right place at the right time. And it just evolved. Once I got on campus, once I got involved with other cultures and other people, that's when I began to know that there was something more for me in my life. And from that moment on, I just started to explore everything, every opportunity. I wasn't always the smartest person in the room, but I was a person that could strategize to get done what needed to get done.
Welcome to the Pastor Chira Show. I'm Pastor Chira, and today we launch. We launch into new territories. We launch into new mindset. We launch into new relationships. Are you ready to launch out? Come on and launch out with me as we go into this conversation on today. And today, I think we are all in for a huge treat, because this is someone that I knew of a long time ago, and we recently became back into acquaintance, but it was different. It was different. Why? Because we're different. He was in a different place, I was in a different place, and now we're both in this place, and we get to work together, and I am excited that I get to sit down and have this conversation with none other than Bishop Teto Saunders. Hi!
Where the Lord has brought us from.
Right? I mean, he brought us from a mighty long way. A mighty long way.
Absolutely. And I'm just amazed at what God has done in my life. I'm just amazed. I'm just absolutely amazed. I would have never imagined from that moment to now that I would be where I am today. So I'm certainly thankful and grateful to be here with you on today. So thank you for allowing me to come and to share on tonight. And I'm certainly excited about what God is going to say on today.
Because you know what? I never know what he's going to say. I never know what he's going to do. We just go with it, right? Isn't that what we do? We just go with God. We just obedient.
You got to be also ready.
Listen, always ready. But before we get into our conversation, can you introduce yourself to the viewing audience?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. My name is Bishop Teto Thomas Saunders. I am the senior pastor and founder of the New Birth Fellowship Tabernacle Church located here in the city of Philadelphia and in the city of Chester, Pennsylvania. I'm also the presiding bishop of the New Birth Fellowship Alliance, and we have multiple leaders and ministries and assemblies and businesses all across the country. And we have a ministry that's in Liberia, 5 years of ministry that we planted in Liberia, and I'm certainly so thankful and grateful to be with you on today. I am a native from the city of Philadelphia, born and raised in the Abbotsford Projects, East Falls. I'm graduated from the Philadelphia public school system. I took a leap of faith and went to Wharton University in Chester, Pennsylvania, and graduated with a degree in hotel and restaurant management. I've had an extensive career over the last 30 years in the hospitality industry. And now that I'm pastoring, the senior pastor, presiding bishop of this great, wonderful fellowship, and I'm just excited and thankful. I am a father of three wonderful young men that are just the joy of my life. I have about 7 grandchildren that I'm certainly excited about. And I'm telling you that these are the best days of my life. And I am so thankful and grateful to be here with you on today.
Holy shamoles, that's a lot. We've come from a mighty long way.
Mighty long way. And that's a glimpse of it. That's a glimpse of the story. That's just a glimpse of the story. But it has been a journey. It has certainly been a journey to get to this point. Listen, I'm the first person to graduate from college within my family. I'm just many of firsts. So I'm certainly have set the trend for the generations that's coming behind me, and I'm just excited about what he has been able to do in me. That I
What
some of this stuff I allowed it to happen, and some things he pushed me into it
pushed you
happening.
into? And that's what I was gonna say. So how how did you come to be with all that was? How
I
did you
think one of
come
the
to be you with all that was that probably said you shouldn't be here today?
Absolutely, absolutely. Growing up in the projects, growing up in a single family household, it was never a big expectation beyond just going to school,
Right.
finishing school. High school was the plateau, but I decided that I wanted to do something different. And it just happened organically. I remember being in the 10th grade. It was a very smart gentleman in front of me that was a straight A student. I was somewhere in between. And,
Right.
the principal came and said to him, "Hey, there's an opportunity for a student to go to Drexel Upward Bound." He was like, "Oh no, I got to work this summer, and I got things to do." And then she looked at me and said, "Would you like to go?" And I said, "Hey, I ain't got. Let me go."
It's those things that take us out of the world that we know, because that's the only world that we know until we're able to see another world because of an opportunity. What
Absolutely,
made
and
you say yes to that?
I really, it was just spontaneous. I just said, "Sure, I would go. I would love to," and didn't have any idea what it was. Didn't have any idea what Upper Bound would be. Didn't know where Drexel University was, even though I lived in the city of Philadelphia. I
That's
had
what I
no
mean.
idea.
Yes.
So I was it was just by happenstance, and I think that moment in time, as soon as I got off the trolley and walked up those stairs, it seemed like a whole different world I was in, a whole
Right.
different situation I was in, and being able to see other individuals like myself that was
Yes.
in this opportunity, that was given this program. And I began to see that there were other people just like me who came from the same kind of backgrounds, had some of the same type of challenges, and we just bound together and we made a pact with each other. We didn't cut our fingers with blood and nothing, but we
We
just
ain't do none of that
developed
stuff. No, no, no.
communication and relationship with each other, and we became friends and comrades. And all of us are successful today because we kept
Wow.
in contact with each other. We pushed each other. We motivated each other because we knew that this was an opportunity that we had to take advantage of. And I'm so glad that I took advantage of that opportunity. That I tell people all the time, if I would have never even knew anything about Upward Bound except for being in the right place at the right time, and look at God.
Sitting behind somebody that said no, and you chose
Yes,
to say, ah,
I,
and you
I
chose to
chose
say
to say
yes.
yes. I didn't even know what it would entail. At that point in time, I didn't even know if I would even have car fare to get there. But I
Right.
knew that something was happening, something was evolving at that moment, and I just took advantage of the opportunity. If I had to walk there, I would have walked. If I whatever means I had to get there, I knew I needed to do that. So it was so important for me. I always was a little different child. They
Uh-huh.
always thought I was the smart one, but it really was I just had the ability to strategize, and that was one of the another moments of me to be able to strategize and how I could parlay this into something greater.
And how does that correlate with you and ministry?
It's the same thing. Happenstance, right place, right time, taking advantage of every opportunity and thing that presents itself to you. Many times in ministry, I would be honest, I didn't know what to do, what to say, how to say, but just show up and just say,
Really?
"God, you said the anointing was not on me, the person, the anointing was on the position. So as long as I stepped in the position, the anointing will work, the anointing will fall, and the anointing will show up." Once the anointing showed up and fell, and then it was me, let me slide on over there and go get me a Happy Meal from McDonald's and go home and relax and chill. But I began to realize that the anointing didn't have anything to do with me. It had to do with the position. And as long as I stepped in the position, God showed up. Because naturally, and folks that are watching this are going to say, "Are you kidding me?" I've always been a shy person. I've always been a reserved person. I've always been a behind the scenes type person. But when God says move and do, he just shows up.
But we got to pace right now and go to a commercial. And on the other side, we're going to continue to talk about this ministry part and the things that you've done and you've come through by keeping that pace and staying in step in order to get to where you are. We'll be right back.
Sometimes I don't know where to go as I pray. Show me the right road as I live according to your will.
Make me careful
Lord, yes,
of what I am asking for.
says my prayer.
Make me careful of what I am praying for. Make me careful so that I may receive what you have for me.
We're back with Bishop Teto Saunders, and we were talking about the pace and how we pace ourselves in this thing called life. But sometimes our pace can get knocked off because of some things in life that have happened that cause us to adjust a little different. Have you had anything like that happen to you?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's such a personal story. About 30 years ago, on January 20th, 1993, as I was coming home from a working a shift at McDonald's on 52nd Street, a friend of mine and myself, as we were walking home, we ran into a young man that had a sawed-off shotgun, and he was attempting and actually robbed us at that moment. And I ended up getting shot in my left knee on that evening and lost my entire left leg above the knee. I spent 21 days in the hospital, had 7 operations, clinically died 3 times, and was left with an adjusted life, an adjusted moment, and what do I do from here? I ended up going through a process for almost 22 years of living in darkness, dealing with internal depression, anxiety, stress, feeling less than, but still had to go to college, still had to work, still had to be a father, still had to be a spiritual leader and a person that worked in the community. But this situation ultimately had changed my life so drastically that I lost who I was. I was operating as this figment of a person, but I was no longer in tune with myself. And as I was sharing that there's moments and times where God will allow us to walk, there's times that we'll skip the process, and there's time that we run in pursuit of what we're so desperately wanting to have at the end of the finish line. And I realized that me skipping processes and me running from the situation did not help. And after 22 years of being a pastor and a leader, God broke that spirit in me about living in depression, not being able to tell my truth, not being able to tell my story, not to be honest about where I was and who I was and what I was feeling internally, emotionally, physically. and so forth. So, and at the beginning of that process, I was broken. The tears begin to flow. I begin to realize that I had been blaming myself and blaming everyone else for the personal persona that I wasn't able to show, but I had such a public persona at that time. And God began to deal with me and it said to me that you need to write your story. You need to tell somebody your story. And Pastor, in the initial stages of me writing this story, it was a grievance. I attacked myself, I attacked my family, I attacked everyone else, and I finally was able to release all of that negative